Hey, good afternoon, everyone. It's Thursday afternoon, October 24th, 2020. Hopefully the microphone's going to pick this up. I'm standing here in Penn Haven Junction. I got here via the D&L Trail. It's about 6.5 miles north of Glen Onoko, about 9 miles north of Jim Thorpe, and about 6 miles south of Waverly. And it's hard to believe it, but this actually used to be a town. There used to be a town, there used to be a railroad station, there used to be incline planes going up that hill ahead, 2 incline planes where they would bring the coal down to load it into cars, and then they would put it on the railroad or the canal boats. This is looking north. That trail and that train track, that'll carry north up to Whitehaven, which is, if I'm doing the math right, which I'm not, clearly, far. It's far. About 14 miles, I think. The D&L Trail is built on what used to be the Central New Jersey Railroad. This railroad here, this is still an active freight line. This is Reading, Blue Mountain, and Northern. And they also take the bike train once a month from Jim Thorpe through here up to Whitehaven. You can either ride the train round trip, which I may actually do next month if I can get a ticket. And if you're able to, you can bike back the 25 miles. I did that one time. I don't think I'm capable of doing it now, but it's a goal of mine for next year. You can see it's a beautiful fall day. The day started off very foggy. You can still see the fog settling into the gorge. Anyway, this is only my second time really stopping here to have a look around. And when I was here last month, I wasn't really aware of how much had been here previously. So I'm gonna just walk around and see what there is to see. There's not much left, obviously, of what used to be a town. I'll let you pause if you want to read the sign. But the gist of it is you are standing on the site of a once busy railroad intersection. 3 railroads, the Hazleton, the Penn Haven and Whitehaven, and the Beaver Meadow converged here at Penn Haven. So this was all for transporting anthracite coal. That rail line, I'll walk closer to it soon that you can see, that's heading west towards Weatherly, and I believe it goes up to Hazleton from there. You can see there's something left of a foundation to a building here. I know there used to be a hotel, there was a signal tower, freight depot. That looks kind of square. I'm thinking maybe that would have been the signal tower. I've just been starting to research this town. I mean, I've kind of always known about it because they talk about it when you ride the Lehigh Gorge Scenic Railroad. Of course, they don't come up quite this far unless you're doing the bike train. But I happened to bike up here last month, and this really intrigued me. And so when I came up here today, I thought I'd spend a little more time. There used to be a turntable. I'm not sure if this is it here. Trying to look for a circular foundation. I've seen it in photos. That rail looks like it just sort of got haphazardly left there. We've got a bunch of torn up ties. I'm thinking this has to have been where the turntable was, though. There's not really any room anywhere else that it could have been. This is not a very big area. see a concrete post for something here. No idea what. There is something concrete down here. I don't know if this was a foundation for a building or the turntable. It's pretty well buried though. There's only that little bit exposed. You can see it's some pretty dense vegetation. I'm not sure that I'm gonna find what I'm looking for here. I would imagine the turntable was filled in. But this is interesting here. An old set of steps. I don't know if that was to the train station or freight depot. This is Weatherly. That's the next town, 5 miles. A road less traveled by Robert Frost. Where we're standing here is actually considered one of the most remote places in Carbon County. Right now, the only way to get here, if you don't have your own private rail car, is basically to bike here. Or I guess you could walk, but it's pretty far. We're looking south towards Jim Thorpe here, and I'm just going to give you a nice 360-degree panorama. Used to be a railroad bridge. I would assume this was 2 rails going over it. They've covered it with wood plank right now. It's pretty nice. I remember when I did the bike train about 5-6 years ago, and I came down here. It was a busier weekend day, and a lot of people stopped here, sat in the middle here to take a rest. The sign on the bridge saying Penn Haven. And then you've got the active Reading and Northern line going up to Whitehaven, down to Jim Thorpe. That's the Lehigh River that it crosses. This is a small creek flowing into the Lehigh River, coming from the direction of Weatherly. I believe it's called Black Creek. Well, here's our definitive answers on distances. We're in Penn Haven. Rockport is 6.6 miles to the north. Lehigh Tannery, 14.1 miles to the north. And Whitehaven, 15.3 miles to the north. A little too far for me to bike right now, but it's a goal for next year. This is the Lehigh River flowing under the rail bridge. This flows south towards Jim Thorpe, goes down into the Lehigh Valley, curves around Allentown, goes east through Bethlehem out to Easton, where it joins the Delaware River between the Pennsylvania and New Jersey border. Now, one thing I had noticed on my last visit here last month is that there are actually some blazed hiking trails into the woods. I would have loved to explore them more, but I didn't have a lot of daylight. I had to get back, obviously, to where I had parked. Not going to explore them too much today. You can see it's kind of steep, and with all the leaves on the ground, I gotta imagine pretty slippery. The thing about being out here is it's not easy to get help. You're lucky if you have a cell signal. I mean, it is a well-traveled trail with the bike paths, but you know, the nearest vehicle traffic, the nearest you can drive your car is either to Glen Onoko to the south or Rockport to the north. And they're both about 6.5 miles, so you got to be really careful out here, especially if you're on your own. So I'm not going to go too far today, but I did want to take a look at some ruins back here. Actually, first I'll just show you. See up that hill? You see that yellow blaze on the tree there? I'd seen another one somewhere before too, so I believe that goes up to where the incline plane was. And if you look on Google Maps, it looks like the foundation might still be in place for the whatever you call the stations up at the top that pull the cables. See, there's some railroad ties. What caught my attention was these stone walls here. You got one lower here, one up here. And somewhere, I mean, we're kind of a little bit outside of what they considered the town, but somewhere online recently I had seen an old map that just had squares representing buildings. I don't know what they were, but this is about the position where they were on the map, so whatever those buildings were, I believe these were the foundations. Looking down the hill there, you can see Black Creek. That runs to the left under the bridge that I was standing on before. I'm going to try to get up. This looks pretty gentle. Getting up to that other foundation. That may be a little steep. I'm pretty good with doing distances on flat surfaces. I'm not a particularly skilled climber, and actually going down is scarier than going up. I don't know if that was a chimney up there. Kind of has that look, like it would be the base of a chimney. And this ground here is covered. It would have been the top of that other stone wall we were looking at. You see that edge right here? Take one last look at this foundation from this angle. Kind of looks a little more terraced, like there was 2 or 3 levels here. Again, I wish I knew what it was. Not sure if that's a natural rock or the corner of something. That looks pretty natural. There's a pipe here. I don't know if that actually went to something or if that's just laying there loose as debris. So I was making my way down from that stone foundation up above. I just found this round pit. I'm not sure that the camera is doing it justice with the depth. It's probably about 2 feet deep, 5 foot diameter. Again, absolutely no clue what it was. It's just up above the river here, or the creek I should say. Yeah, there's the other yellow blaze. You can see if you go straight up and hook a right. I'm assuming you can climb to the top of that hill. I'd love to do it someday. I'd probably prefer to do it if somebody was with me. I'm not going to do it today. I'm going to get back on my bike. I parked in Glen Onoko. I'm going to ride back there. If I'm tired, at that point I'll go home. If I got some energy left, I might just bike into Jim Thorpe, which is a little over 2 more miles, get myself some ice cream. We'll see how that goes. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this tour of Penn Haven Junction. This is a true ghost town. I think you saw my videos. I was just up in Centralia the other week, but there's certainly a lot more left of Centralia than there is of Penn Haven. If you biked through here and didn't know there was a town, there's not really much to give it away. You got to get off the trail and go looking. If anybody wants to come up here to explore it, my recommendation would be to park in Glen Onoko. That's the state park entrance. It's a 6.5 mile bike ride up here. It's about a 2% grade getting up here. The reason I prefer this direction as opposed to Rockport is you bike up on the way in, and then you got the 2% downgrade on the way back. It's a little bit easier on you. By that point, you're probably getting tired. Your other alternative for getting here during the time of year that it's possible is to actually ride the Lehigh Gorge Scenic Railway from Jim Thorpe for an extra $5. They'll let you put your bike on the train and they'll drop you off at a platform about a mile south of here. You could bike up the 1 mile and then bike back to Jim Thorpe where you parked. That's another way to do it. I had actually wanted to do that today, but because it's fall foliage season, as you can see, they're running the trains. They're running them, I believe, every hour. So it's a 45-minute round trip instead of the normal 70 for the train ride, which means they're not getting as far north as that platform. So, but when you get in your normal season, not fall foliage, that's another option for you. So apparently there are rattlesnakes in the woods here, so if you're going to go hiking too deep into here, I'd read that sign, and that's something to look out for as you hike. Although the sign makes it sound like, you know, you just need to be aware of them, that they're not, you know, as likely to bother you as you think. So apparently if you see a rattlesnake, you're supposed to give it 3 feet of space. I guess that means they're pretty safe. I mean, we got to give 6 feet of space to our fellow humans nowadays, so I don't know. I've never seen one, and quite frankly, outside of a zoo, I hope I never do. But I guess if you're going to go hike up this trail, That's something you need to be aware of. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this tour of Penn Haven. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.